Where are the 6 schools that register in the system? Please come closer. Are we close enough?
As long as the mic works.
Okay. Dr. Marilyn, I believe Dr. George, Dr. Alvarez, today we are going to go through more details about how to pursue the accreditation for the very first step. Could you please tell? I believe that this kind of school, they are quite new.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I'll start because poor Dr. Marilyn is losing her voice. The first thing to do is to apply, in our case, if it's WASC, is to apply to WASC. Where do you do that? You go to our website, you click on the tab that says International, and you'll find the International application form. It's a very, very simple form that just pretty much asks for your name, your address, where you are, when you were founded, and so on.
Dr. Margaret Alvarez, I think my colleague can show on the screen. Then they can see what you said straight away.
Okay.
Guy,
Okay.
now could you please go to the internet, go to ACS WASC, step by step.
Yeah. So when you've completed that form, it comes to me. And I check basically to see if you're eligible, because I do not want to start you on a journey if you're not eligible. That's a waste of time. So I check if you're eligible. Then what happens is that our office then asks you for the application fee. When we get that, we set up a portal for you, a space on our system to upload 13 basic documents. They are things like the mission and vision of the school, child protection policies, the staff handbook, enrollment statistics, health and safety information, admissions policy, very basic documents. That comes back to me. And I screen this in order to get some baseline data to know where you're at. Once I've read through it and said, yes, this is a school that is eligible, that looks like they're probably ready to begin, a team member of mine takes over. And she sets up virtual training sessions for you. And she coaches you all through the first step of accreditation, which is preparation for the initial visit. Okay, so you're getting lots of support. We give you samples that, you know, that action plan I showed you, you get a copy of that. You get copies and samples of different things. You get access to training videos, lots of information. When you're ready with your initial visit report, we screen it again to make sure that you really are ready for a visit, because we don't want to set you up for failure. We check that you're ready. When you're ready, we come to your school for 2.5 days. And we're looking at what's happening in the school. We're coaching, we're mentoring, we're supporting you. Now, if you've got many things in place, you can actually become accredited at that point. Some schools, if they still need to do a little bit of work, become a candidate for accreditation. And on the very, very rare occasion, when things are really not the way they seem on paper, we say, you know what, we'll come back in a year and we'll do it again. So there are 3 outcomes of that initial visit. Now, what's the timeline between application and that initial visit? It can be as short as 6 months if you get your skates on, as I say. right? If you jump right in and if you move quickly, 6 months. But you actually have 2 years. Remember I said you're in the driving seat? Okay, if you're ready and you can do it, 6 months. If you want to take your time and work with us and use our expertise to put some things in place, then take 2 years. And you can do anything in between. All right? So that's the first piece. If you become a candidate, and also if you get that first accreditation, the next stage is the self-study, the big self-study. And again, we assign you a consultant, one of my team, who works with you, checks in with you, coaches you, mentors you to make sure that you are successful at the self-study stage. All right. And again, you've got 3 years from that initial visit to do the self-study, but you can do it in a year. It's up to you. And then you become accredited for 6 years. So that's really the process. Any questions about that?
I might just jump in if you can hear me. Over the years, I've worked with schools that hadn't even opened their door yet, but they were very interested in becoming WASC accredited. So they use our standards as a guide to make sure they've got things developed. And we would periodically check on that and even do what I call pre-check. Are you ready now to do the initial visit and where you are with the standards? So that I found that can be very beneficial if you're just opening your doors. I think Wells, that was an example where you were going to open the other campus, but you were well aware of what needed to be in place.
Okay, just pretend that I am the new school. When you said you're going to check at the very first step that the schools are eligible or not, could you please clarify the eligibility of the schools?
You'll find the eligibility criteria on the screen. I can't turn around. I've got a bad back. Sorry.
Should you just stand then?
Yeah. So basically, you have to be in operation for a minimum of 6 months to be eligible, and you need to have 2 grade levels in place. And then these are the very basic eligibility criteria. But as Dr. Marilyn said, even before that 6-month period, you can, and you know you want to work with us, you can use our standards to start putting those important things in place so that when you hit 6 months, bingo, you're good to go and you're ready. And I've known schools to do that, you know, to jump right in at 6 months and move quite quickly through the process.
So when you said 6 months, it could be different among the school. Varies, depends on their readiness. Yeah.
Correct. And basically, I use the application documents as a very, very beginning analysis of whether a school is ready. For example, if I'm given an action plan that is quite skeletal, that is just a list of things to do, it's not as detailed as the one up there, and I find another few documents are also quite skeletal, then I might question whether the school is ready. In which case, I would say, here's a sample. Why don't you go back and review and revise? And then we'll talk later. Because it's not about not getting accredited. It's about getting ready to be accredited. It's a journey. We want you to get accredited, right? And we want to help you put the things in place to get there.
So one of the things that is a major challenge is well-developed curriculum. No, you don't just buy a series of textbooks and saying we're doing page 59 to 70 and then we're doing so that. What are your overall standards? How will you know if this child's accomplished them? So we look for a clear, well-developed curriculum. and our standards help guide you on that. And then qualified staff. And then international school eligibility in multi-language, because of that you would not just be Thai, you may be other languages, dual language. And of course, worldwide, unfortunately, English has to be a key part if you're going to be an international school. Margaret, if you want to pick up on that.
Yeah, we do have within our protocol standards to support our bilingual schools, if you fall into that category. But for any school, we do emphasize the importance of multilingualism, supporting the language development of all students in their home language as well as in English. So that's a big strength, I think, of our protocol in supporting the diversity of schools within the WASC family. Yes, please.
There's a set of criteria of meeting those standards. But like as a new school, the process is always learning what those standards and working towards that. So my question is that at the point of the process of applying for this accreditation, where are we supposed to be? Already achieving those and having the evidence of achieving those, or just an action plan that recognizing where we are going?
Yeah.
So
Really good question. Remember that image of the golfer, right? Always trying to break your handicap. We recognize that a school that is very, very new is going to look very different from a school that is 50, 60 years old. And so, what we're looking for to be accredited is that you meet those standards. But when you apply, of course, you're not going to be there because, you're working towards achieving those standards. So our job basically is to be your partner in getting you to that stage. So I can see from the documents that, if a school has absolutely not understood what we're asking for when I say an admissions form, then I'll know they're going to need a little bit of work before they get to that stage. But if a school has a basic admissions policy, not quite meeting our expectations, but they have one nevertheless, we will work with you to get that policy, document, practice in place that does meet expectations. Now, the action plan that you saw on the screen is a very developed one. Most of the schools, when they apply, have nothing like that. We work with you to get to that stage.
okay.
All right? It's a journey.
Okay,
So
thank you.
it's not like inspection. Inspection is you've got it or you don't have it, right? Accreditation is about continually moving towards excellence.
Thank you for that, because it's almost, the feeling is like we are preparing for an exam, but it seems it's more like it's a coaching journey together. with
Exactly.
the mentor.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
one of our key criteria is actually that you are committed to ongoing school improvement. Some schools have lots of things in place, but they only care about the badge as a marketing tool. They really are not committed to ongoing improvement. So in that case, we might say, yeah, okay, they've got things in place.
Oh, okay.
But
Thank
that key ingredient, that ethos of commitment is not there. That's a big problem for us. We have many schools that started with very little in place. And because they worked so hard with us, they've reached a level that is really quite remarkable now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we have two programs in our school. One is an EP program, so the Thai and English 50%. And then the other program we have is the Cambridge International School program, where we're considering whether it's two separate school in terms of like the separate buildings, but there are so connecting part like owned by the same owners. So just wondering if we're looking to accredit it for both programs, would that would the cost be quite different if it was compared to one program, or is there like cost saving or and benefits to do it as well for the students as a whole school?
We accredit schools, we don't accredit programs. So therefore our preference is to work with the whole school, and it's one cost. If you were separate schools, meaning one in one part of Bangkok, one in another, we do have a program of accreditation called system accreditation, but it sounds to me like it's one school with two programs. Is that correct?
I think it's more towards that, because it's literally opposite each other. Even though it's two separate buildings, it's just opposite.
Yeah, it's like
from each other. Yeah,
one school with two programs. We'd look at things like your license. We'd look at governance to determine whether you're two separate schools or not. But basically, our preference is, you know, we work with schools, we don't accredit programs. Yeah.
Sorry, would there be someone who we could maybe chat with in order to just clarify and work out, you know, how it would look like to accredit it, you know, two different programs, and whether how long, like, would that extend the time, and how the things that we need to be mindful of?
We would recommend that you don't do two programs, that we do the school. So that would be our preference, because we don't accredit programs, we accredit the whole school. Okay.
So we would look at the fact, is there one overall governing board? Is there one financial plan, even though certain monies may go to Cambridge program versus another program? And then often in this situation, you described staff exchange. They might teach in the Cambridge, but they might also teach in the bilingual program. So we have to look at case by case, as I said on Friday. And Margaret would be the contact. She'd put in touch with herself or one of the consultants.
So that discussions and working out what the approach is, that will come through after application, and if it's approved, then that will be
it can come before, so that you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
You know, so before you apply, that conversation could take place. That's probably preferable. Then you really know what you're trying to do. Yeah.
So our school applied sometime in 2020, and I'm new to the school. I just joined 3 months ago, but I was told to take over this process. From what I was told, there was supposed to be an initial visit, but it was postponed due to the pandemic. So now, should we go back from zero, or what's the next?
Too much time has elapsed to pick up. I think it's best to start from zero. Normally, from point of application, you have 2 years to the initial visit. You're now way beyond that, so you would have to pick up from the beginning and restart. I think you'll have a better process doing that too.
There was also a report already submitted, and there was a feedback from WASC. And
I'd have to get your name
You have
and
to go
look.
back and look at it.
Yeah, I can't comment right now.
So, Dr. Alvarez, for the schools that are very new, is it I recommend that they should study and understand the framework?
Absolutely. I think if you're very new and you build your school with that framework in mind, you're going to build a solid school where you'll have happy kids, therefore happy parents, they're for happy owners or governors or whatever. So I think that is important. I'm working currently with a school in Spain that started right from scratch, took our standards and built systems and processes using that. And they will be ready to move into accreditation shortly.
The initial procedure that's on our website outlines all the details that Margaret's gone through, and that would be good for you. There's a sheet called Steps for Accreditation, initial, and then the initial manual, and then Margaret's information is in there to contact her. We do have a consultant in the Bangkok area also that Margaret can assign to work with you. And then we have people very close by.
Our team is pretty much based around the world. As Dr. Marilyn said, we have someone here in Bangkok. I'm in Singapore. I have someone in Taiwan. I have someone in Qatar, one in the UK, and one in Canada. And Dr. Marilyn is everywhere.
Yeah.
And one in China, basically. Forgot about that.
Question?
Yep.
Maybe you're going to talk about it later on. So how does the joint accreditation work?
Joint accreditation with ONESQA
Or
Not with
CIS?
WASC?
or
Okay, let me you answer to this question. ได้ยินไหมคะ Okay. When we talk about joint accreditation right now for the international schools in Thailand, we have two systems. The first system is the joint accreditation that we are doing with the overseas. Now we have 10 overseas accreditation bodies, including WASC. And we have the international schools that are not get themselves accredited by the overseas. It means that the international schools that are using the same framework as the Thai school. Yeah. Now let's talk about the joint accreditation. In the past, the school get accredited by overseas, and they have to come to ONESQA as well to get themselves. We didn't call it accredited. We call school review, but that is required by law. It is difficult for the school to get themselves accredited by overseas and then get the school review from ONESQA. They have to do it 2 times, and it's more complicated when the cycle is different because by law, Thailand, we evaluate or do the school review at least once in every 5 years. But the cycle from the overseas, some of them are 3 years, 5 years, and 6 years. Later on, actually last year, about the end of last year, we come up with the agreement that we will do the joint accreditation. It means from now on, the international school, they will get accredited from the overseas and in the meantime, evaluated by ONESQA. How it works, the international school have their own choice to choose any accreditation bodies outside overseas. What I said, there are 10 right now that their names have been registered in the Gazette. ประกาศในราชกิจจานุเบกษาแล้วนะคะ So 10 of them are eligible to accredit the school in Thailand. But now we work closely with the first 4 organizations, which are WASC, EDT, NIAS, and CAS. So the school, when they choose either one of them, they use the framework from those organizations. But for ONESQA part, we have to follow the law from the Ministry of Education. So we have one more framework called TCH, Thai Culture and History. That's required by law. So now when we do the joint accreditation, we use the combination team between the overseas member and ONESQA members all together to visit two things. But as the organization, they've been very kind, but high standard. They wonder if our Thai educators are not competent enough. So they help us to train the assessors. So the assessors who, whatever, go to the school to visit the international school with them must be trained by these 4 overseas organizations. Is it clear? Any questions? Yeah. Actually, another 6. Yeah, when I said 10, now we work closely with these 4, but the 6 organizations now are working to try to get the school accredited by organization. From the information that I have now, there are about 10 schools already that apply for those 6 organizations. In total, rough number, we have about 270 international schools in Thailand, and only about 100 have been accredited by the international accreditation bodies. So we still have quite a lot. Yep. Please. Okay.
So if in order to be part of the joint accreditation as opposed to not join, so how does that work in terms of the process? Is it different from if
Okay.
it's
There are many things. Let's talk about the joint accreditation. When we say joint accreditation, what it means, okay, we join the framework. They use their framework, we use our framework, but the school must apply to those frameworks all together in one go. We join the training because they train our assessors as well as they go along with us. Third one, we visit together in the meantime. Only one time, the school now does need to get one ONESQA and one, let's say, WASC. We go together. Last one, we get accredited. We get the school accredited together. It means that the school get accredited by the international accreditation body together with ONESQA. So if you do the joint accreditation, you don't need to go to get accredited by ONESQA alone. Only one time. Yeah. Would you like to add up anything?
I'd like to add,
Okay.
every 5 years by the law, you have to be approved for your Thai language and culture, ONESQA standards, if you're an international school. So sometimes on the timing, it may be you'll have to do that separate, but that's very rare. And you have to get approval by the board. But as a rule, just like I had an email today from a school saying, we want to move our WASC accreditation 6 months so we can align with ONESQA, which we will support, so that we'll do both together. Right now, in the 5th round, 2 ONESQA assessors will be part of the team, and they will look at Thai language, history, and culture. Then they will meet virtually with the rest of the team throughout the visit and be part of the summary. They will write a separate report on their findings, but we've trained them in types of questions to ask and writing commendations and recommendations. But it's really been a case-by-case basis since COVID, when we opened it up with the 5th round, because trying to adjust everyone's schedule has been a challenge. Margaret, you want to pick up with that? Okay.
Okay. Back to your question when you said, what are the differences about the process between the international schools who are accredited by overseas and by ONESQA only. For the second one that we call non-joint, yeah, we talk about joint, you understood already. The non-joint one, the school, international schools,
Yeah.
will use the same frameworks as the Thai school.
Yeah.
The director and I see these things as it is not appropriate, because if you register yourself, call yourself international school, why didn't you use the international framework or get yourself accredited by the international accreditation bodies? Now we are working on it. We would like to somehow support you to transition, to change from the framework from Thai school to the international framework. That's what ONESQA is trying to do. Okay?
So that's where, just like WASC, if a school's interested in moving into international, as we talked about on Friday, then we explained our process. We'll see if you're eligible and can move forward case by case, because your goal might be to become international, but it'll be seeing the same standards as all our current accredited schools and the same cost factors.
So for the non-joint, we use only Thai educators, not the foreigners. It is school review actually. We didn't have the kind of supportive process like what Dr. Alvarez mentioned, like coaching, talk to you closely, identify the problem, support you to understand your current situations, try to detect the gaps, and somehow guide you to develop your school-wide action plan or school development plan, things like that.
So how about the process itself? Like if we want to do the joint accreditation, does it mean that we initiate by going to like WASC website and apply? Or do we go, is there like a separate channel from ONESQA that direct us for the joint accreditation?
Technically, right now, as Dr. Alvarez said, she will be the one who read the application. But now, as we signed the MOU last year, we then exchange the information. So now we know that 270, maybe more than that, international schools is in our database. We then classify type of the accreditation bodies, for example, WASC, EDT, NIAS. So we know when they are going to reach out their cycle, and we work together. Somehow we identify which scenario they will be in. For example, scenario 1, if your cycle reach to ONESQA first, we're going to apply the online. And when they reach the cycle from WASC, we then go to the site together. As we have only the school review, but they have the whole accreditation process. Even though we try to develop our own system, like accreditation for the whole system, but it is difficult because we didn't have the budget from the government. So we can only do school review. But when you apply to their system, they will start the whole process. In the meantime, they train us, train our educator. Some of them are here to assure that they met the standard requirement that they allow them to join the team. Do I answer to your question? Yep. In the near future. Okay. So, any questions? please, yeah. Please feel free to add if I didn't say something.
So on behalf of the Saathit School or demonstration school, we are attached to the university as well. And our school considered as a Thai school, but we do have international program for both primary and secondary. So we've been trying to reach out to many organizations to get accreditation because we think we're ready. However, with our structure, it's prevent us from getting accreditation. So like you mentioned that Thai school get accredited the Thai way. As an international program, we feel like there's a need in our accreditation as well, that we would like maybe somehow flexibility to consider a program as well, because we do run it separately from the Thai program, but with the structure and how the university, management, we still need to be in the same roof as the university and the school. So maybe in the future, if there will be a consideration for the program, that would be very much appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dr. Marilyn and I mentioned earlier, it's case by case. We will look at your governance structure, your license, your leadership, your budget, to determine whether you're a separate school or whether you're part of another school. So don't give up, okay?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So please, they are here not often, so please do ask them the question when they are here.
From the presentation and the talk today, one of the things I take away is the importance of capturing data and then showing how you use and implement the data to improve student outcome. So one of the things as a small school, we're trying to improve on is the level of data we capture. But I guess from your side, like what are the expectations you have in terms of the types of data we need to provide and the level of details and the maybe the size?
Again, I can't answer that specifically because it depends on your context. But we would be expecting you to, have student achievement data and be tracking students and their progress throughout the school. We'd be looking for demographic data. We'd be looking for attendance data. All the indicators of whether the school has been successful in meeting its mission. Really, at the end of the day, you have to look at your context, you have to look at your mission, and you have to decide in order to see to measure if we are meeting our mission and our vision, what data, what evidence do we need? And so, again, we'll help you by discussing your context, and so on, to give you an idea of what you need to have. But I would say that's at an absolute minimum. The student achievement data, demographic data, things like attendance data, things like that, enrollment data, this sort of thing.
Okay, let me share with you my experience. I used to work in the international school before moving to work at ONESQA. It was that kind of question I had when we started to think about how to get our school get accredited by WASC actually. At first, we try to understand their framework. So we will know what she said, what kind of data they want. If you study the framework and try to understand each indicators, you will know exactly what should you develop to meet the requirement. But technically, they didn't say that it must be this and this and this, the number, the level. They look at your context as well. I think maybe small school, it's more easy. It's simple. Yeah.
So it's qualitative and quantitative data. So we look at both.
But then one more thing that Marilyn used to train us. Rather than the data, you have to present that you understand yourself. That's a self-study report. You have to understand the data that you collect when you analyze what the data told you about that, about your situation. For example, when she said, look at the last 3 years score, what does that mean? How about improvement of your student? What is the problem? What is the problem in each learning outcomes? For example, for science, for maths, it might be different. Then you will can identify how to solve that problem. Sometimes you just fix the problem within each department, not the whole department, not the whole school. So you have to be able to detect yourself as well.
One of the key areas is multiple types of data. So you might have quantitative test scores on how you did in reading, but also did you observe students engaged in reading using a tool? Did you look at sample student work if you were looking at writing? So it's multiple teacher reflections, such as through professional learning groups. So it's multiple types of data. And we looked, did you do, Margaret used the training in triangulation of data the other day. And so it's important that we look, when we visit your school, can we look at sample student work that informs you? Is this a good cross-section? Don't just give me your top students. What do you normally see? As well as observing students engaged in learning, as well as talking with staff, students, and parents.
Sometimes survey as well. Yeah.
Yes.
Questions?
Okay, I would like to ask you about I have two school, Centurion International School, and just opened September, Rising Oak International School. I would like to know, I opened Centurion 2019. It's COVID. I stopped. I didn't open learn online, but I got passport to ONESQA already. After that, I would like to, about the law of Thai government about to the international school open 5 or 6 years. You have got accreditation from overseas for organization for. Yeah, yes. But now I would like to know, I would like to, my son is, about Miss Dr. Jessie and Dr. Like, they are head of my school and they have to prepare for to accreditation for WASC. I hope next year we will have to in the first school for in the first project. Okay, you can, okay? You go together? Yes, okay. For just, I order come from America. Okay, and I would like to the kindergarten, my friend just opened the kindergarten a lot in Bangkok. I would like to know, they want to get accreditation from in overseas. Yeah, I tell them you have to small. It's very good for to accreditation first because it's a small group. Thank you very much.
Piggyback off of her, one of the things we've been talking about Thank you. To piggyback sort of off of that, one of the things we've been sitting here talking about is I think we're ready at our school, but one of the things that I'm concerned about is the amount of student achievement data you're going to be looking for. So when I took over in May, it was after a chaotic year for the school, and they hadn't really collected any kind of no map data or that kind of stuff ever, right? And so we unfortunately can't afford a big system like that. And so I'm trying to think about what kind of student achievement data, what kind of lens we're using to look at whether a school is ready to be accredited, or if you're going to need some kind of formal system, data from some kind of formal system, right? Yeah, I think that's my question.
Yeah, I mean, we do work with schools that have gone through a journey like yours. And so there's not that much data. We're going to look for two things. We're going to look for what are you doing now and what are you planning to do in the future? And what system are you putting in place? It is a good idea to have some kind of standardized test because it helps you benchmark. Remember that word I used frequently today? Helps you benchmark with outside. But we also are looking for internal student achievement data. You know, the kind of tests and things that you do. But then we're going to dig into, you know, how do you moderate them? How do you create those assessments and so on? That will all be part of the self-study. But I think it's a good idea to look at, you know, some form of standardized testing. And some of the standardized testing companies actually do a really good job of the analysis for you. They will produce the kind of reports, the kind of charts and things that help you to read what the data is actually telling you.
Follow up. Would a good start be, so we're having our teachers so they're going into term 1 final exams, and we take final exams from year 1. We're having teachers ask a question that is aligned, like each question has to be aligned to a specific standard, right? And then we want to look at that data, see how students performed, and then have them do a reteach of those power standards, right, that weren't achieved at the end of the term. Would that be a good start until we get some kind of standardized benchmark assessment? Yeah,
that's using your internal assessment. I mean, it's a good start, but I still recommend that you look at some form of standardized testing. Whatever that might be, it will depend on the curriculum that you use, what is the most appropriate.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I wonder if we're gonna go to Joy to the big room now. We are late. Okay. I don't think anything you'd like to speak more.
No, we have some business cards if you would like them.
Yeah, please.
You know, so that you can always contact us. We're here to help. We are your thought partners. We're your critical friends. We are not scary inspectors. So if you take away one thing, that's the main thing. We're not scary inspectors. We're here to help you on that journey. And don't feel that you have to do it immediately. Take the time that you need. Okay? Right. I'll get you these cards.
And during waiting, I would like to ask you to scan this QR code and please give us the recommendation what ONESQA should do next time to make it better than this time. And we're gonna go back to join the big room. Thank you very much.